Hello guys, today inshallah we are going to revise weekly sheet 13. Let's start with question number 1. Okay, here question number 1, he wants you to match each part of the skeleton to the type of joint and the type or the function. So let's start with number 1, skull. What is the type of joint? Here, fixed joint. Type of movement, of course, the skull doesn't move, so it will be no movement. Number 2, the shoulder joint. The shoulder joint here, ball and sockets, yes, it can move in all directions. The knee joint, which is hinge joint, because it can move in only one direction, which means it can move in upward movement and downward movement. This is question number 1. Let's move to the next one. Here he wants you to label on the diagram or in the diagram of the skeleton the hinge joint, fixed joint, and ball and socket. Let's start with number 1. Which part of the skeleton contain fixed joint? Of course, it will be skull, because the joints in the skull, it will never ever move. Let's move to number 2. Hinge joint, it means it can only move in one direction. So here, the hinge joint, it can be elbow or it can be knee. Ball and socket joint, it can be shoulder and it can be hip joint. Let's move to question 3. Here he wants you to match each structure with each function or definition. Let's start with number 1, the tendons. What is the function of tendons? Connect the muscles with bones. The function of tendons, connect the muscles with bones here. The ligaments, what is the function of ligament? The ligaments hold the bones together. This one, because it connected the bones together. What is meant by joint? Of course, the place where two bones meet each other. Here, the place where two bones join together. What is the function of cartilage or definition of cartilage? Without this, the bones would rub together. So the function of cartilage, it prevents the friction between the bones or prevent the rubbing between the bones. Okay. Here it is, guys, the question about the adaptation of birds or how the different beaks of bird will help each one to survive in its environment. So each bird of these birds, it has different beak. Why? Because of course each one, it has different type of food. So question here is asking about this bird. What do you think the food of this bird will be? According to the previous information in the table, you should recognize which beak this bird looks like from the different or the previous birds here. So according to the previous information, your answer should be number C, which is seeds and nuts. Let's move to question 5. What is the name of this diagram? Of course, as you know, it's called food web. Let's move to the next one. Question number 6 here. This question about pollution. He wants you to mention one pollutant. It can be number 1, carbon dioxide. It can be sulfur. It can be sulfur dioxide or it can be nitrogen oxide. Why it's harmful to the environment? If you're going to talk about the carbon dioxide, why it's harmful? Because it will increase the temperature of Earth and it can cause global warming. If we're going to talk about the sulfur dioxide or nitrogen oxide, we should mention that when they dissolve in the rainwater, they will form acid rain that can affect badly on the plants, building, and the living organisms in water. Okay. Next one, according to the type of food or source of nutrients, you should mention if these living organisms here are producer or consumer or decomposers according to the source of nutrients here. So the mushroom here, he mentioned that it breaks down dead tree roots. So break down from the word, the keyword breakdown. So you should write here decomposer. Here, the next one, it make its own food, so it will be producer. The cow here that eat plants, we should mention that it is consumer. Question 7, according to the drawing here, please guys, let's answer the next question. Here, number 1, one fact about mammals. Number 1, take this box because they produce milk to feed their young. This question about the classification from the first term, please revise it. Look at the drawing of the bat. How it's unusual mammal because we can say that it has wings or it can fly. Number C. Here he wants you to mention how the seal is adapted to survive in its environment, yani how it's suited. You should mention one adaptation. We can say it has a streamlined shape to decrease the water resistance so it will swim easily and faster, or we can say it has flippers that will help it to swim fast. Number D, how the spine will help it to survive in the environment. It will protect it from the predators. Number E, how the thick fur will help in surviving in the environment. Here, you want to talk only about the thick fur. Here, you should write for me, the thick fur is needed for keeping the animal warm or to keep it warm in the cold weather. Number double I, here he's asking about why the white fur is important. The white fur is important here because it will help in camouflage or it will hide from the predators. So this is the weekly sheet, guys. If you have any question, you can send me on WhatsApp group. Inshallah, the next week you will have a new video and a new weekly sheet. Thank you so much.